Training at Dragon Academy is way harsher than you'd expect. Even the youngest students go through merciless drills. Right now, they're all holding heavy weights while practicing breathing techniques, trying to last as long as possible. Most of them are struggling badly, only a few manage to hold on. But one boy clearly stands out. He's not just holding the same weights as everyone else, he's got massive boulders stacked on top of them. Even the instructor is shocked by his strength and endurance. What they don't know is that this boy is the reborn strongest man on Earth, the very founder of the Dragon family. Even he eventually died when his time came, but that wasn't the end. He opens his eyes in his new body, the body of a baby. The fact shocks him that he is a baby. There were other babies present as well. From his observations, he deduces that he must have been reborn into the Dragon family once again, as they are all housed in a separate building. Just then, there comes the Dragon maids with a trolley with a strange red liquid. Among them is a goblin, whose presence immediately raised the hero's suspicion. The maids first forcefully feed the goblin that liquid, causing the creature astronomical pain before it explodes into a bloody mess. This test shows that the concentration of magic in the liquid is high enough, a perfect sweet spot. The maids promptly start feeding that diluted strange red liquid to everyone. The hero couldn't really understand the situation, and as his turn comes, he realizes that the liquid isn't milk, but it's something overflowing with a terrifying magic power. This is ancient dragon's blood, and they are making them drink it. Instinctively, he needs to spit it out, and he already swallowed a little. As the other babies are doing, he needs to do the same and spit the liquid out before he explodes. But he again thinks about his choice and decides to absorb all this magic power, which will help him reach the true peak of martial arts. He might even surprise his past self. With that in mind, he drinks all the liquid, claiming that they should never have underestimated Gilfus Dragon. He absorbs all of the ancient dragon's true source power in order to reach the peak of martial arts, a height he could never attain in his previous life. The maids are surprised that he is able to absorb the liquid so calmly, but they choose to ignore it since the result works in their favor. The other babies seem to survive as well, but this instant is nothing to take lightly. As expected of an infant's body, overwhelming sleepiness suddenly struck him. 7 years later, the child once known as Gilfus is now renamed Zeke Dragon. He trains relentlessly, and he can clearly feel how magnificent his body has become. This is all thanks to the blood of the ancient dragons flowing within him. The source of this power exists in all living beings, but the ancient dragon blood that Zeke and the other babies consumed contains vast quantities of two distinct source powers. Those who absorb even a small amount of this liquid gain bodies far superior to ordinary humans. Unfortunately, which works in his favor. The hero, who is guided by the divine dragons to source power he had absorbed in his previous life, took in every drop of that ancient dragon's unique power. He undergoes a transformation so astonishing that even he finds it difficult to believe. By all logic, he should have reached at least 4 stars by now. A star is a truly compressed source of power, formed when one imagines their body as a universe, and allows a star to float within it. However, each additional star becomes increasingly difficult to form, and the more stars one possesses, the greater their strength. The hero has reached the unmatched rank of 10 stars, with the only one in the world to ever do so. It has been 7 years since he was reborn. His mother has already passed away, and his father never showed up. Being reborn thousands of years into the future shocks him, but what irks him more is the reality of this era. A millennium later, the world has become a place where the strong devour the weak. Well, isn't that 2025 in a nutshell? The clearest example of this is the dragon's trial ritual. Only the babies who survive are allowed to train as warriors of the Dragon family. Throughout these years, not a single obstacle has been able to stand in the hero's way. Zeke tries to investigate the combat training in his family, but the maids have nothing to say, more like they aren't allowed to say. The maid he interacts with is a 3-star fighter, which is enough for basic combat training. He feels exhausted having this bare interaction even after living together for 7 years. Later, he goes towards the forest and eats the poisonous herbs as a part of his training. He first senses the presence of someone and notices an angry boar with a black mist around it, which didn't exist 1,000 years ago. Soon enough, they get into a fight and he slams the board with a powerful punch. The damage seems surprising from someone at his level, 1 star, but the quality of a star is what really matters. The hero takes his leave with a boar and decides to go on a journey. Unbeknownst to him, a strange man has been hiding nearby. He witnesses the fight and immediately realizes that Zeke is no ordinary child. Not only does Zeke defeat the boar with ease, but he also notices the man's presence. However, as the child of the family head, Zeke is not permitted to leave freely and remains under constant surveillance. The stranger grows interested in him. Later, the hero overhears a group of warriors discussing something. He enters the room asking for their interest, to which they explain that they have come to retrieve Zeke, and he needs to take an examination, which makes the hero furious. He thought he was returned to the main family, but they take him to the dragon's nest for the examination. This is the Eldragon family's own exclusive educational institution that they established during that millennium. Everyone has to enroll in this academy at the age of 7, who has been born into this family. And today is the day of the entrance examination, and the hero hasn't been taught a single thing. The hero holds his head, knowing the test is mandatory. Zeke appears visibly exhausted, prompting a child named Langus from Oldscale Village to interrupt and speak to him. Zeke finds Langus timid at first, but he quickly realizes that the boy possesses courage beneath his nervous exterior. Zeke introduces himself in return. As the hero explains his worry towards the exam as he doesn't know what would be the content, Langus is thrown off. Before the conversation can continue, Retton from Oldscale Village calls out to Langus and begins bullying him. He shouts mockingly, telling Langus that he should have stayed at home because someone like him could never enter the academy since his father was nothing more than a mock dragon. The Eldragon family follows a rigid hierarchy established by an absolute manager. Lesser dragons are classified as rookies, young dragons are known as common soldiers, adult dragons belong to the captain class, and elder dragons occupy the highest ranks as elders or executives. At the very bottom are the mock dragons, those who failed to enter the dragon's nest or could not graduate. These individuals are labeled as imitations, but Langus wants to remove the tack of a mock dragon from his family. The hero speaks in favor of his friend that he at least deserves a chance to try. It makes the bullies even furious, and they start bad-mouthing about the poor being, but Zeke continues to defend his new friend. Soon enough, the adult dragon examiner announces that the exam will now begin, in which all applicants must take a number tag after registration and proceed to the second gate in discipline. Langus suggests the hero withdraw if he is not sure about the exam or lacks the ability, but he seems to be confident, even though he doesn't know the content of the exam. The first test is to scratch the rock, and the one who manages to do so will pass the test. Only provided weapons can be used or the individuals can go with bare hands. The students have 3 attempts. Zeke finds the test way too lenient, which shocks his friend because he thought the exam would be of a terrifying level. The test begins, and Langus starts panicking while our boy is sitting calm. The stone used in the test possesses regenerative properties, allowing it to repair any minor damage almost instantly. Furthermore, any attack driven purely by brute force is reflected back with hundreds of times the original impact. Langus explains that one must properly circulate ether source power within the body during the strike in order to leave a scratch. The hero understands that this quality is more of the handling of ether source power than martial skills. Most of the students seem like they can pass the exam, including the bullies. There are consecutive disqualifications of the students going on. Finally, it's time to test the hero, and he refuses to take any weapon. They ask the hero if he's sure going with his bare hands, to which he agrees. Everyone starts discussing him, thinking he will eventually fail the test while Langus is concerned about him. As the test began, the hero carefully analyzed the stone. He realized that the rock must have formed over 1,000 years ago, as he had never encountered such a mineral before. Just then, he raises his fist, and using his full power he smashes this regeneration stone with his Dragonslayer combat technique form and passes the exam. The crowd suddenly got silenced as the results were unexpected for them. Langus is filled with pure joy along with surprise. Standing nearby, the examiner narrowed his eyes, wondering if the hero might be an illegitimate child of a powerful house. After all, only warriors of 4- or 5-star rank were capable of such a feat. As a reward, the hero was handed a green potion, though he was uncertain of its significance. Later, Langus explains to him that he got a healing portion of a normal grade. Zeke wonders if this could be elixir, a potion made from extremely rare materials. It contains unique herbs with pure elixir core and from divine and phantom beasts who are so rare to find. The potion healed both old injuries and recent wounds while dramatically boosting one's ether. Due to its scarce ingredients, it was incredibly difficult to refine and almost never appeared on the market. Langus added that the potions produced by House Dragon far surpassed those sold in ordinary stores. The hero feels astonishing while his friend keeps on praising him. With that, the bullies also passed the exam, and it's Langus's turn. He chose to scratch the rock with a sword and failed to do so. It's his last attempt, and the bullies are already starting to abuse him, mentioning how it is very expected from a half-dragon. Zeke then advises him to use a spear instead of a sword, which doesn't suit him because he is struggling to make a single dent with it. Everyone is laughing at him for being this weak, but the hero saves his friend by making him switch his weapon to spear. Langus's father was never allowed to enter Dragon's Nest, and they even make fun calling him a half-dragon. But he never gave up and raised him, so now he wants to prove everyone wrong. But he is not sure about how to use the spear correctly. Zeke advises him to trust it straight without thinking too hard. It is impossible for someone to trust the spear straight and damage our generation stone who is holding a spear for the first time, but he should not judge himself without even trying. They both just met today, but since the hero believes Langus to his fullest, then he also wants to do so. Without wasting any second further thrust the spear straight into the stone and feels like it was part of his body from the start. To their surprise, he not only scratched the stone but pierced it through. Zeke is very impressed and cheering high for him. And this is how he passed the exam, which he couldn't even believe in himself. The tears of happiness fall down his face while the bullies are all tense. With this, the test is over and the entrance ceremony begins. Zeke wonders if there was only one test, but his friend explains that there might be another after their entrance. The head of the Eldragon family enters to give them their congratulatory words. Zeke comments on the head's gloomy face while Langus is trying to make him quiet. There, Zeke meets the Eldragon family's current forces with quite a few 6-star levels among them, which seems like a decent force. Balza Eldragon is the head of the family, which looks like on an 8-star level. This start level was barely a dozen in the whole world back 1,000 years ago. Zeke seems to have a hatred against his own father. There comes the words from the Lord Balza, suggesting to become the flesh and blood of Eldragon. His aura is so powerful that the students rarely manage to breathe. Everyone is crushed by his strong pressure. The hero realizes that he couldn't stand him. Just then, an elderly dragon praises the Lord's gracious words, claiming that these are all just a matter of wording, while everyone is feeling relief by changing the atmosphere. Soon enough, one of the warriors informed them that the dormitory assignments will now be announced, and those who are called should move at once. Zeke is curious if they are not going to the same place, on which his friend explained that there are 4 dorms in the Dragon's Nest. Students who are allowed into the building are assigned to one of the 4 dorms: East, West, North, and South. Zeke has assigned the East dorm of the Dragon's Nest. He roams inside the dorm, struggling to find his room, and finally reaches and presents a warm greeting to his roommate. Surprisingly, he has Lingxi as his new roommate, and they both seem happy. Zeke seems to have no plans for today, and his friend informs him that the training will start by tomorrow. Because the hero didn't know about it and was not paying attention to the announcements, his friend scolds him. The hero was planning to ditch this boring place and go on a trip, but the regeneration is stone, the healing portion and alert. My interesting things came across his way, so now sticking with Eldragon House for a little longer doesn't sound bad to him. 1 month has passed now. There is a training session going on which helps in teaching the dragon's breath, and this method is made by the 15th head of House Eldragon. Some of the students have already mastered this technique, like Lady Laika, who seems to look like a 2nd star. Then there is Zeke with his extraordinary skills and 0 teachings, which make the trainer wonder if he inherited the head's powers. The Dragon King's breath technique of the hero was modified and passed down as Dragon's Breath. These techniques are ways to drag ether from the air into a body and calculate it, which can help in enhancing one's ether. How well they work is influenced by the user's skills, and this is the reason each noble house refine its own style and guard the finished techniques. But if this technique only works while standing still, it is useless for the hero because his previous Dragon King's breath technique let him use ether while moving without breaking breath, and its effects are huge. But since it is the difficult one, so a few inherited it. The hero simplified it so anyone could use it to make their clan stronger, but he never thought it would evolve and survive even after his reincarnation. Later, during the dinner, Zeke suggests Langus to eat, or else he won't get stronger because he is weak and he needs to train harder. While he was thinking about how some of them are well trained, Laika interrupts the hero, mentioning that he was amazing earlier. Langus gets super nervous and informs him that she is the head's daughter. Being truly unbothered, our boy mentions that he is also the head's son. He keeps ignorantly answering her questions while advising Langus to eat food rather than spacing out. This makes her excited, and she offers him to become her subordinate, because being an illegitimate child, he needs allies. She wants him to help her become the next head, and in return she will reward him generously, but calmly refuses the offer. Even when she tries to bribe him with the head's potions, he rejects. Laika can project her ether outside her body, which is pretty impressive to achieve at her age. He aggressively informed Laika that he has no interest in being the head, and will not serve anyone because he's the strongest. Laika offers him a fight, and everyone reaches the training ground to witness the fight. Zeke realizes that things turned out to be serious, while Langus informs him that she's not only Lord Balza's daughter, but also has Typhona blood, one of the 4 great houses backing Eldragon. Like other kids, she is a genius, and just 7 she mastered every form of her house. Unfortunately, this is new to the hero because he only knew her as the head's daughter. But still, he seems confident, and not knowing things make him even more excited, even though his friend keeps on insisting that he doesn't stand a chance in front of Lady Laika. Both the fighters are more than ready. Zeke asks her the reason for which she is forcing on fighting him. It is because she wants to be the next head by defeating him, and claim the seat to make him serve under her. When the hero seems clueless about his own family, Laika asks him if it, because he is illegitimate, and explains that including her, there are 5 heirs competing for the next head. In everyone carries blood from one of the 4 great houses of Eldragon except him, and in order to secure her place, she wants to defeat him right away. With that, she swings her massive sword like it's nothing, but the hero effortlessly dodges the attack. Her strikes just keep getting faster, and everyone understands that this is what it means to be a child of the head. Leica keeps throwing her attack while Zeke is continuously dodging them without pulling any effort. Langus is also surprised. The hero praises her unexpected fighting styles, but she insists him to keep on fighting. He does it accordingly and throws a punch, taking her down, wondering why she can't manage to land a single hit on him. To which the hero confirmed that she is far quicker than most of the 1-stars he have ever met. But in the end, she is still just a 1-star. He further explains how he observed her breaths, the twitch of her muscles and the shape of her eyes to track her movements, and the rest is just experience. Leica isn't ready to give up and again strikes him, but instead ends up getting slammed. He is impressed how she gathered true source power in her core to withstand that blow. When Langus tries to interrupt, Zeke suggests he should stay back. Just then, that lady reaches 2-star levels, which seems obvious by her aura. At this level, one can project through source power outside the body, shaped for martial arts, and that projection is called aura. According to her, it is the hero who helped her break through to 2-star level, so now he doesn't stand a chance. With that, she throws up a fast and powerful hit, which eventually the hero couldn't manage to dodge completely. Now the hero is facing a different style of true Thunder Spirit Greatsword arts, which makes him even more excited. Leica uses her Thunder Grade technique and a Thunder Light Flash Strike. At first the hero seems to enjoy it, but later realized that her level is way too much, and that much lightning will be hard to handle in his current estate. It's just 1 star that makes this much of a difference between both of them. Her movements are simple just like before, but the instant she turns to a 2-star level, that Thunder Spirit Great Sword arts explode in her power. She was fast, but she is faster now, and the strange part is the lightning trap around her body, which was impossible to achieve 1,000 years ago. The hero cannot counterattack because he is uncertain about that power. The hero has a lot of confidence as he is still smiling in a situation like this. This irritates his opponent the most, and she keeps answering her lightning strikes towards him. Still, the hero is standing on his feet. As Lynxie insists, Leica decides to stop if he surrenders and swears loyalty to her. Since the hero refuses, she claims to use every inch of power in order to end this fight. With that, there comes a Thunder Spirit, the first secret art technique, Heavenly Thunder, and the hero is laying helplessly on the ground. The match is declared to be over, but to their surprise, Zeke again stands up, hitting an electrical strike, making his opponent curious. He explained how he was purposely taking her hitch in order to study them, and somehow he can use them as well. While he was taking those attacks, he kept using his Dragon King's breathing technique, which reacts with her lightning energy. Lightning starts generating inside his body, and he can control it himself without even realizing. He doesn't know much of the details, but according to him, her entire clan has a special constitution, and he receives a great lesson by fusing both the techniques. On top of that, thanks to Leica, he also reached the level of 2 stars, and the fight isn't over yet. Zeke seems to experience the extraordinary traits of strength, and will soon get his understanding on it. Langus is tense, witnessing the true strength of the heads, and even Leica's lightning hits are not reaching the hero. The fight is going on between the two, and after a while, the hero decides to end it by creating a new technique or a special form. While his opponent is lost in thoughts, he decides to take the charge and uses his special form, Dragon Slaying Arts, to strike a blow and takes her down in an instant. The fight was fascinating, and Leica is now in disbelief at her defeat because she even needs to surpass her brothers in order to become the next head. The hero is impressed and praises her skills with a smile. He even motivates her to learn new things since this isn't the last time, and she has to fight him again. Zeke offers Leica another battle some other day, while she considers him as an unbeatable individual. After a few hours, inside the fissure, Lord Balza restraining his Dragon Combat Arts first form. Just a word interrupts him, reporting about her daughter that she reached at level 2 star, which is quite fascinating at her age, and at the time of their graduation she can reach at level 4 or even 5 star. The Lord is still not bothered and orders him not to waste his time and talk to him when she can use the talent herself. The soldier informs him that she is recently defeated, and the one who defeated her is his own son, Lord Zeke. Balza understands because his mother also has the talent for battle, but she was long gone by the time he was born, so it is the curious part that who could have taught him skills strong enough to defeat 2 star. But he gets informed that Lord Zeke reached this level on his own without any teachings. In this case, Lord Balza commands to begin the first trial, which is premature, and most of the students haven't even reached the 1st star level. But according to him, that is equal for every individual no matter if they have trained or not. Those who cannot survive the first trial have no future, and he declared them to be unworthy of Eldragon. He commands to summon Freya back to oversee and conduct the trial, and have her keep a close watch throughout. The next day, there is a usual training going on of Dragon Combat Art. The hero is mastering Ibuki Dragon's Breath, which was developed by the 15th generation and called a combat art. but in essence it is a body enhancement technique well constructed, so even children can learn it easily. Langus asks him, and he is not training, but the hero has already mastered it. He is surprised because it was only taught just a few hours ago. Zeke asks him to turn around and develops a channeling route to transfer his energy. His friend is impressed and thinks that this training might be boring to him because he has already defeated Lady Laika. Dragonslayer combat technique is an overwhelming power along with the spatial form bond within the hero from the battle with Laika. He believes that the final form also exists, which can slew the divine dragon itself. Zeke is curious about how these dragon techniques can be handled. Since the hero has mastered all the dragon combat art techniques, he is back on usual physical training. Just then, Langus requests him to provide training because he wants to grow stronger, and the hero agrees because he takes his friend as someone worth teaching. Soon enough, Laika also requests him to train her as well because the way he overwhelmed her in the fight earlier makes her want to get even stronger to surprise her brother and the hero himself. Zeke agrees on training her as well, but asks if she is fine since her wounds should have put her down for like a month. But as she has used a healing potion, so it's nothing to worry about, or else she must be resting on a bed for about a month. Laika again confirms if he is fine by training her and doesn't need his own time to train. The protagonist is ready to train both the young talents. Later, he asks Laika if she is fine training by a person who defeated her, but she is ready to do whatever it takes to get stronger and claim the leadership. The hero asks about the reason for her being obsessed with this position, to which she explains that if she doesn't manage to claim the leadership, according to their family customs, she will end up marrying someone. In the best cases, she will marry her cousin, and in the worst, it will be a stranger. The hero gets quite upset and his hatred increases for treating people like a breeding stock. Soon enough, the announcement goes on informing about the arrival of a new instructor who came all this way to guide them despite her busy schedule, so they advise everyone to be grateful towards her. Freya steps in observing Laika's reflexes, sharp and flawless aura. They introduce her as Freya Wingkick, a member of the Black Dragon Corps. She warmly greets them all and recognizes Zeke asking about his non-surprise reactions. The hero confidently mentions how there is nothing to be surprised about, and mentions her intriguing skills, which makes Freya understand why the head was so concerned about this boy. The hero is taking interest in her martial arts as there is no sound even from her boots. Later, she advises everyone to pass her test, in which they have to take these crystal orbs and spend 1 month on Poisonous Dragon Mountain. It is the home of countless venomous beasts, and even brushing against a single poisonous weed can kill anyone instantly. Zeke used to train there in his past life. If their crystal orbs breaks or goes missing during the task, that student will immediately going to disqualify and initially get expelled from the academy. She advises them to control their breathing with dragon breath technique, and as long as they keep the orb intact, they will be fine. About the monsters, she suggested killing them, or else there won't be any food for them to survive a month. The students have still 5 days left in which they can each choose and learn one of the Eldragon family's basic martial arts, and survival will become easy for them once they get a fighting style. But for the ones who couldn't manage to train in these 5 days, she isn't responsible. Children throw an innocent question about if she will help them in danger, but as expected from Eldragon family, only the strong remain, so if someone can't win, he or she will simply die. Panic spreads when the students, while the hero is wondering if this family has changed this much. Just then, Freya distributes the manual for each weapon. While Langus is struggling to choose his weapon, Zeke advises him to pick a spear, the one he used in the earlier test. He even suggests Laika picking an axe, which will cover what she's lacking. After that, Freya advises everyone to train as their life depends on it, or else they will die. She further informed that during their test, the upperclassmen will try to steal their orbs as part of their task, but since the forest is huge, the rate of both of them crossing paths are rare. A wave of fear is spreading among the students. Zeke advises them to form teams if they cannot handle it alone, while he decides to go solo. He casually invites them to eat before training. 5 days later, it's finally time for their test, as they have all gathered to enter the forest. Langus nervously speaks that the time arrives, while Laika nods in agreement. He questions himself if he is truly fine to work beside her, and mutters that many belong to noble families while he is only a commoner. His fellows appear from behind and tell him that he is at the same level as them. Celine steps in and claims she also cannot believe that they work with Laika. Laika calmly replies that there is nothing to disbelieve and reminds them that all are chosen for their abilities. Langus tightens his grip on the rod and vows to give his all, and Raymond promises to live up to her expectations. Laika brightens and counts on them, then turns to Zeke and asks if he is sure about going solo. He nods with confidence while the others become nervous. Laika admits that she feels nervous too, but Zeke raises his brow and tells her that everyone there is talented enough. She questions him certainly, and he tells her that she and the others are sharp and their team's test will be easy, while Langus mutters that Zeke always remains confident. The new instructor steps forward and draws their attention. She observes them carefully and praises their group formation, and stating that teamwork will ensure their survival. She asks for their crystal orbs and explains that each must protect their own until the 1-month trial on Poison Mountains, as all orbs are identical. Zeke wonders if losing one means they can replace it. Freya continues and explains that on the mountain, they will face upperclassmen who will attempt to steal their orbs. A student asks if any of them have not reached the 1-star level, while another student claims that the task sounds easy. Freya commands them to proceed to begin the exam. They rush toward the mountain. Laika turns to Zeke and tells that she will meet him after the exam, then commands her group to move. Zeke waves calmly and Freya questions if he is not nervous. He smiles faintly and replies that he is fine, then steps forward as she watches with quiet curiosity. As moonlight spreads, an officer beside her questions if the exam is too harsh for the students. Another officer agrees and says the group still lacks combat experiences and wonders how many will truly endure. Freya assures them that the monsters on the mountain are not too strong and the teamwork will help them survive. The officer nods in agreement and Freya mutters something about releasing something. He asks for reassurance, but she brushes it off as nothing, then commands another group to head into the jungle. As the team moves ahead and spots a lone student, one archer immediately fires an arrow, but Zeke catches it easily and smirks. They look in disbelief and murmuring in confusion, but before they can react, he dashes forward and gestures for the real game to begin. Celine thrashes the monsters with her full force as another creature leaps from behind, but Raymond raises his shield and strikes through it. Lannis charges forward with his spear and pierces another monster. Laika praises them, and when they glance at her, their eyes widen at the sight of a pile of dead frog monsters around her. They claim that she truly cleared too many by herself. She chuckles softly and remarks that her 2-star level surely helps. She adds that both of them have gained 1 star since the week, while Langus lowers his head, but others encourage him, telling him that he will earn his star soon. Laika agrees and states that defeating the monster frog without a star is no small feat, and praising his flawless spear work after training with Zeke, then commands them to head back before nightfall. As they near their base, Laika halts upon seeing a senior student waiting ahead. The senior smirks while Laika questions if he has some to steal their orbs. The group tenses and Raymond lifts his shield. The senior nods and claims that the test itself is to steal orbs and admits he did not expect to encounter her base first. Laika warns him to leave before they kill him, stating that he cannot face them alone. Before she acts, 3 more seniors appear from behind. The lead one unsheathes his sword and strikes at her, ordering her to surrender. She dodges and the others rush forward. Raymond shields. Celine fights back with strength and Langus struggles to resist while the opponent demands his crystal. But Langus remembers Zeke's advice when he once asked how to face a powerful enemy. Zeke had told him that it was impossible for him to win against 3 or more upper-class fighters, yet there was still a way. Langus had questioned the method, and Zeke had smiled and instructed him to exploit an opening. Langus asked how to find it, and he told him to endure and keep doing it until the opponent exposes it, because the weaker one cannot force an opening by himself. Langus had clenched his fists and asked if he could truly endure that long. Zeke explained that endurance itself won the battle, and that defeating a stronger through patience is greater than strength, and the only Laika might be an exception to that rule. Zeke had reminded him to first believe in himself and not overthink, just wait and strike when the chance appears. Now Langus grits his teeth and holds his ground, and when the opponent loosens his guard for a brief moment, he charges and drives his spear straight through him. Meanwhile, Laika continues battling her own opponent. The senior resists but realizes her strength surpasses his even though both are 2 stars. She knows that it is from Zeke's advice and ends the fight with one decisive strike. She rushes to her team and asks if they are fine. They cheer, and Selene congratulates Langus for reaching 1 star while he is still in disbelief. Laika smiles and remarks that with everyone holding stars now they can survive the exam, and wonders aloud what Zeke's might be doing. At a distance, a girl from the last group runs, trembling and questioning what kind of monster he is. Around him lie bodies of the rest of the members, and Zeke stands among them. The scattering upperclassmen are running away screaming to save their own lives. They've encountered a literal monster, one that casually took them out. Meanwhile, our boy is chilling, calling them cowards for running away. Bro basically said, "I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me." The kids are running faster than Usain Bolt just to escape an inferior first year. They were the one who were supposed to hunt him, but the turns have been tabled. One upperclassman slips and falls. It's like a horror scene as he watches Zeke chillingly ordering him to stand up and at least try to fight him. His golden eyes glare into this kid's soul, making him regret his life's every decision. It's so bad that the kid ends up fainting out of fear, and I imagine Batman's glare must feel the same for his enemies. Zeke is a little disappointed how easy it was for him to dismantle the group, even though they were acting so Sigma and tough at the beginning while jumping him. Noticing someone spying on him from a spot, Zeke calls this person to come out already. Seeing as they refuse to come out, he takes it as a sign that he isn't breaking any rules and is free to do anything he wants. Anyway, the person who is spying on him is revealed to be an upper dragon captain. This guy is stunned to see a mere first-year wipe the floor with his upperclassmen, and the same kid even managed to call him out for spying on him. Intrigued, the captain intends to report the situation to his leader. He returns to the scarlet-haired beauty who demands a mission report. Her men start off from the very beginning. In 1 week of the test's duration, 32% of the kids have dropped out. But the ones who survived are quickly adapting to their environments, which means the numbers won't stoop lower than that. But the moment she asks about the condition of the upperclassmen, her men hesitate for a response. The same guy who observed everything reveals how the upperclassmen are running for their lives. The instructor is starstruck with his words. It just seems so baffling because there aren't any monsters beyond the level of the upperclassmen to threaten their lives. So the big question is, why are they running? The guy blurts out one name, it's Zeke. He has become the catastrophe, the demise of the upperclassmen, single-handedly hunting them down like insects. No one wants to be around him anymore. He's cutting them relentlessly, and he's on the chase instead. It's a situation so abnormal that they've never seen anything like it before. Even when it comes to Zeke being the son of the patriarch, the kid is crazy. He's not just a prodigy, he's a generational talent, one that can be classified as a literal monster for his age. Even the instructor remembers their brief but weird interaction, realizing that his strategy from the very beginning was to move alone, knowing that he'd unleash hell upon his victims. To be put it simply, Bro never even entertained the idea of being hunted. He was thrilled to do the hunting instead. Her factual glazing of Zeke entices the members of her squad, until suddenly they notice the arrival of something they've been waiting for. Freya tells the laborer to unload it on the spot, while the rest of her squad members start to question what the fudge is up to now. This woman is consistently increasing the difficulty of the exam, and intends to release some kind of monster at the 3-star level. Not even the upperclassmen should be able to withstand it. The sadistic mommy assures them that she made certain adjustments. First of all, it is conditioned to only target students of the 2-star level or beyond it. This means the kids without a star or even with 1 star won't be affected. But the big question is, why is she doing this at all? Interestingly, Freya reveals that it's a direct order from Lord Eldragon, the head of the family. She's genuinely curious about the outcome of this exam, especially concerning the so-called monster that Zeke has become. She wonders if the kid can handle something of this caliber, and instructs her men to release the creature by dawn. Dawn does arrive. Langus and Celine instantly sense the ground trembling. Lady Lyca's sharp instincts inform her that something is coming, even nastier than the upperclassmen they faced. At first, Langus assumes that it must be some kind of large monster, but Lyca knows full well that whatever it is, it's terrifying. The rumbling of the ground continues, startling the students as they all begin to worry. Lyca immediately realizes that the tree behind them is toppling down, so she roars everyone to move out the way. Luckily, she was able to protect Celine, and Raymond managed to guard Langus, making sure none of them got any injuries. Shaken by the sudden collapse of the tree, Lyca grips her sword to challenge the threat, while Langus and the others stare at the creature with fearful eyes. The towering monster before them is a terrifying stone golem, one that they'd never thought they would encounter on the mountain. I love how this is the isekai version of getting out of syllabus questions for your exams. Meanwhile, our boy is in a completely different location, sitting on top of monster corpses and unconscious upperclassmen. True Manhwa fans will remember that one familiar scene with Arthur from the beginning after the end. Anyway, this guy is bored as hell. He's so strong that no one can match up to him, acting like he's the Gojo of this exam. But then, suddenly, he senses an ominous presence in the distance. This isn't any monster, it's something higher than the 2 class levels, which makes him wonder if the instructor is trying to send him a coded message. Still, it's weird to use this creature against the kids who are only 2 stars at best. Besides that, Instructor Freya should have informed them about this at the beginning of the exam. But then he realizes that this sadistic woman released it on purpose, making him wonder about their plans. However, this is the perfect chance for him to cure his boredom. Motivated, Bro jumps off from his pile of victims and makes the 3-class monster his new target. Unfortunately, he's going to have to spend a while going there since it's far away from his spot. Back to the golem onslaught, Celine tries to slash the stone monster with her sword, and of course doesn't seem to get any form of damage on its hard body. She doesn't have a single scratch, but somehow Raymond thinks he's the main character and whacks his shield. Again, no scratch at all. Finally, Lady Lyca goes all Zenitsu mode and activates her lightning-style Thunder Flash technique. That ultimate move just now barely chipped the creature. This confirms that only the attacks filled with aura can damage the golem's outer shell, which means anyone below her ranks is practically useless here. Langus begs her for a plan while she rallies them up, explaining her ridiculous strategy to play decoy to distract the monster, allowing them the chance to escape. None of them want to follow this plan because it means she'll be left behind, but Lyca basically calls them weak-ass NPCs who will only get in her way. She managed to do a tiny amount of damage even after landing a powerful aura attack, which means the rest of them can't do anything with their power of friendship Naruto mindset. Her words are right, and though it's true that they can't take it down, Raymond steps up with his shield, vouching to support her just to make sure she lands all of her attacks. Laika thinks this is a reckless move, but Langus and Selene are also ready to support her, just as long as she can deal some form of damage. The power of friendship convinces her, and she orders her friends to cover her while she prepares. Lady Laika charges her attack and blitzes past them with thunderous aura. The golem reacts quickly to smash her into the ground, but Raymond is there to block the weight of the blow. Even then, it stuns his body just to block a single hit. He takes a timeout while Langus and Selene tag in to distract the golem with their repeated attacks. This allows the main assailant, Laika, to jump the golem from behind with an aerial slash. Activating her Thunder Spirit Greatsword arts, she hammers the behemoth with divine thunder, leaving trails of lightning in the sky. Upon the conclusion of the attack, the monster seems nowhere to be found. Langus comes to her rescue, as Laika seems staggered and lost. She used all of her energy just to activate that final trump card. But at least they managed to take out the monster, so she's happy that Raymond and the others are okay. But that happens to be their biggest misunderstanding as the golem suddenly emerges from the smoke, extending its hand towards the unguarded Laika. In the end, the monster snatches her in its grasp, while her friends are useless to help. She knows she made a huge mistake without confirming the kill, while Selene is terrified how the monster is still functioning fine even after basically a mini nuke. Langus wants to play a hotshot and charges in with his spear to help her, but the golem casually snatches her away, causing Langus to scream in worry. Suddenly, a gigantic tree is tossed all the way from the sky, whipping its way towards the golem. The monster is smashed with the weight of the tree, simultaneously freeing Laika in the process. Langus and his party take her to exit the dangerous area, not knowing what the hell happened. Zeke arrives with his special entry, joining in all the fun. He doesn't even care about his friends and feels ecstatic for his next victim's demise. Before all this happened, he could spot Laika's momentous final attack from far away. He knew that her group was trying to defeat the monster, but found himself severely limited to reach them in time. In his prime Kobe Bryant era, he would have instantly teleported with insane speed. Even though Laika's group is pretty good, they just can't beat a 3-star monster. It's more like a game of survival for them, a countdown until they get wiped out. Knowing that he couldn't run fast enough, our boy decided to experiment something new. Carving his fingers into the heart of a tree, he pulls it straight from the ground, showcasing insane levels of strength for a child. Then this kid sends the tree flying to God knows where, hoping that it probably becomes a ballistic missile and hits the monster. Zeke felt really good about what he did just now, because this tree-throwing technique is actually something much deeper. He talks about the dragon nurturing arts. The L-Dragon Combat Manual is given to students before taking the exam. It's an ordinary technique booklet, and it's not really a proper style, but a guide to unlock more efficient strength. The good thing is that it proved helpful to Zeke, because in his past life, he took advantage of long-range attacks as the first head. Anyway, after tossing that tree, Bro started running again. Back to the present, he greets his friends who are shocked to see him. Langus reminds him about the dangerous golem coming here to kill them all. But instead of running away, Bro feels amused to challenge a powerful monster. Interestingly, the creature doesn't seem to boast any form of life force despite having a presence. While he's casually holding a conversation, the 3-star behemoth whips a powerful punch in his way. The punch slams Zeke head-on, but here's the kicker. This kid catches it with a single palm. Thanks to his genius battle IQ, he can tell right away that the monster won't be affected by normal-based attacks, and though he could easily wipe it out with aura, he doesn't want to finish things so soon. Laika watches him practically toy with the same monster that gave them a run for their money. Anyway, the golem attempts to slam him with both hands, causing Zeke to reflect on the monster's incredible speed even for its enormous size. He ends up successfully blocking the slam, feeling some level of mild discomfort in the process. Zeke tells his friends to stay out of the fight as they could get hurt, causing them to flee from the area. Now that he doesn't have to worry about going all out, Zeke shifts his weight and ends up flinging a monster 10 times his size. He still has to take care of the creature's hard shell and wonders if the golem is just as sturdy on the inside. In order to test his theory, he powers up a punch and blazingly hammers it on the golem's body. This move is Form 1 of the Dragon Destroyer combat arts, which he combines with a second style burst to pulverize the golem's interior. The burst aspect of his technique doesn't just focus on breaking the shell, but actually crushing the creature from the inside. And just like that, with a single move, Bro one-shots the creature, having gained some level of fun from the experience. A month passes after the conclusion of the exam, and we arrive at the main estate of the L-Dragon family. Here, Zeke is summoned much to his annoyance. He reflects on the conclusion of the earlier exam, as nothing significant happened after the golem incident. Zeke's 7-year-old class members ended up dropping down to 70%, but the members who survived became familiar with death and ended up achieving the 1-star level. Shortly after the test conclusion, Zeke was forcefully summoned to meet the patriarch, his father. While walking through the hall, he mutters his annoyance while Freya reminds his dumbass to give the patriarch proper respect. She rants off about how he behaved in the exam and basically spelled his own doom in the process. But our boy doesn't understand what she means by that. He didn't do anything wrong. Freya roars at him for obliterating the upperclassmen's test, attacking them and hunting them down when it wasn't really required. Because of that, not a single one of the upperclassmen managed to acquire an orb for their personal test. They even have to retake the exam. That's how bad he ended them. Freya is frustrated with his actions, and begs him to fix his disrespectful tone when he meets the head, as the two of them finally arrive at the Patriarch's door. The reason she keeps lecturing him to tone down and be humble is because if he doesn't do that, he will literally get eviscerated from existence. Lord Eldragon is a ruthless man with zero regard for children, and Freya doesn't want Zeke to get slaughtered like that. Even our boy feels intimidated after hearing that. Before entering his chambers, Freya announces her rank and mission intention. He allows her permission to enter, so the two of them go inside. Our nonchalant midget stares at the man sitting at his desk, his first encounter with the head of the family. Lord Eldragon is mildly annoyed, and without even extending his greetings, the dude straight up demands to know why the kid attacked his upperclassmen. Responding casually, Zeke expresses his annoyance, questioning if he broke any rules by attacking. His response baffles the Patriarch, while the boy continues to argue that the only condition of the exam is to survive 1 month with the crystal orb intact. No other details or conditions were mentioned, so he followed what he was tasked. Zeke straight up grills his father, saying that he should have mentioned any bullshit rules before the exam began. Freya's face tells you everything. She's scared shitless because just earlier she told him not to argue. She even tries to talk some sense into him, while the boy's father releases an ominous aura, terrifying her in pace. Just the sheer overwhelm of his pressure is enough to knock her down. With this kind of pressure, Freya thinks that Zeke is going to get murdered. Instead, he doesn't experience anything and mocks his father again for using petty moves at the slightest agitation. The Patriarch finds himself stunned to see him unaffected by the pressure. He pries further by asking the boy how he managed to defeat not only a fleet of upperclassmen, but also a 3-star golem. If that wasn't unbelievable enough, this 7-year-old just aura farmed his way through his overwhelming pressure too. It makes no sense in his eyes how a boy like him could manifest such damning power. Zeke realizes that the focus is being placed on the source of his strength, and instead of explaining properly, he just calls it his personal genius. Arrogance meets arrogance, both father and son eyeing each other down. Lord Eldragon admits that the boy's attitude is rash just like the report stated, but that won't matter as he still managed to beat a golem. His reward is an item from the Dragon Treasury, or access to the 2nd floor of the Dragon Hall. A choice between the two. What's most surprising to Freya is how this man went from nearly killing his son to now offering him a reward. Let's discuss both options. The Dragon Hall and Dragon Treasury are vaults, each of them filled with 1,000 years worth of collectibles ever since the time of Gilphus himself. It includes plenty of books, even those that are banned in the present era. It even contains the greatest weapons, artifacts, and every possible item one needs. The facilities are supposed to be the family's ultimate treasury, but they're monitored so strictly that only a couple of students are lucky enough to enter inside. The 2nd floor of the Dragon Hall is also special, requiring tremendous accomplishments for its access. Freya can't believe her eyes. This kid is acting like a brat and he still got rewarded by his pops. To piss him off, Zeke taunts his father to give him access to both rewards. Lord Eldragon demands him to leave, but the kid disobeys a direct order and complains that he's got more questions to ask. Freya knows this clown is going to get himself killed through his tongue and grabs him to leave right away. She's like a worried mother protecting her child. But as she's dragging him away, the kid leaves on a final note. Zeke humiliates his father that the more he tries to subdue his emotions, the further he will become from being the strongest. In that moment, Lord Eldragon watches a manifestation of Zeke's might, making him an equal to him in potential. Freya shuts his ass and takes him away, leaving Lord Eldragon to reflect on the kind of presence he just felt. In the next scene, the instructor is ranting again, shouting at the idiot for acting disrespectful against the leader, ignoring all her warnings. Zeke tried his best but ultimately gave up. Hilariously, this is actually him holding back his words, which makes you wonder what else he could have said. Freya just doesn't get why he treats the teachers with respect, but can't show the same to his own father. Considering the boy's strength and then his rocky personality, she deems him an unordinary child, even beginning to question his real identity. Trolling her, Zeke states that he's just him. Freya internalizes that everyone in their family drank the ancient dragon's blood upon birth. The head of the family carries a might of a superior dragon too, which means by nature alone, they shouldn't be able to defy his wrath. And yet, this same boy managed to not only challenge his father, but also hold his ground. He's something else and she can't figure out what. Suspicious, she intends to check his birth records. But for now she changes topics and asks him which of the two rewards he'll choose. Putting up an adorable little face, he picks both, much to Freya's annoyance. In the end, Zeke comes to his decision. He is in pursuit of knowledge. Having reincarnated 1,000 years into the future, comes with a gulf in his understanding of the current age. That's why he's curious to know about the advancement of medicine and technology. His biggest fan, Langus, celebrates how he's able to enter the Dragon Hall. Both of them are excited. The thing is, Langus already learned dragon slaying and nurturing spear arts, but this is an even greater opportunity for him to master a new martial art. Lady Laika comes along, sharing that they needed to act quickly because there is also a time limit. The first floor is of the basic level, and they're told to borrow one book only at one time, which is why they needed to pick wisely. At the same time, Laika came to learn about Zeke's personal reward of being able to choose between the treasury or the hall. She's surprised that he ended up picking the dragon hall instead of choosing a weapon or something. Our boy would have definitely done that if not for the fact that he's way behind on the knowledge of the current era. The books of the second floor are the best part. They're rarer than even the first, and only Zeke has access to this level. Still, Laika thinks nothing in that library can surpass her thunderclap greatsword art techniques. While she's glazing herself, Zeke zones off. In the next scene, the supervisor informs them that they only have 5 hours for the hall. It's hard to tell if this duration is considered long, but anyway, Laika comes up with a strategy to pick one book that they want to borrow, and use the rest of the time to read the others that can't be borrowed. Fast readers would benefit here a lot, but Langus is interested in honing on a martial arts book to read in 3 hours. It's difficult to choose the right book for each person, especially in a hall as grand as this one. As they're teleported inside, the party members become ecstatic at the glory of the Dragon Hall, exceeding Zeke's expectations far more than he imagined. He sets his sights on obtaining a piece of book that will knock the wind out of him, and so begins the reading experience. Zeke wilds out the second he gets his hands on the books. He's out here blitzing through content related to magic and chaos. It's too much information for him to just give up on. 1,000 years have left an incredible mark. Turns out that in that time span, their world ended up forming a connection with another one. Nearly 900 years into the past, a gigantic crack shook their reality, creating a dimensional wall called a rift. From it came the chaotic otherworld, the chaos realm Kansei. This world inhabited monsters birthed from the element of chaos, and in order to resist their wrath, the people of Zeke's world ended up forming primal energies within their bodies. The Eldragon family is responsible for aiding humanity against the tides of chaos. This allowed many bonds to form between families on the battlefield. 4 special warriors ended up marrying members of the Eldragon house, which ended up forming Typhona, Fafwild, Levias, and Bahamut factions. They're now considered the 4 great Eldragon families, and it all makes sense now, especially when the Anger Boar was covered in dark energy while Zeke fought it. Even Laika's thunderous aura exhibits such an energy. All of it came from a different dimension, but the most interesting part that stands out to him is the evolution of magic. With the connection to a dark reality came a new kind of technique. Unfortunately, Bro can't find a book related to the contents of that technique, especially when something this brilliant should be hailed as a part of history. His excitement is so loud that he draws the supervisor's attention, insisting the boy to keep quiet while reading. The strangest part is how there isn't a presence around him, and he could still hear the voice. This makes him wonder if this is the same magic, the same new technique, something that can be used via voice. But the problem is that aside from ordinary primal energy, he can't tell what's special about it. Suddenly, all of his books end up floating in a trail of yellow, levitating all on their own. Zeke can't contain his reaction, and finds himself amused with the technique. The supervisor tells him to be quiet again, but Zeke just can't contain his reaction at the verge of experiencing a new level of growth. While he was busy wasting his time being excited, the library suddenly ended up closing in on him. Threads of ether restrain him before tossing his ass out the door. Zeke barely holds himself together while sticking his landing, questioning what the heck just happened. Bro wants to learn the same ether technique and demands the guy to use it again. Even Langus can't tell what's up with him, while Laika is confused why he's the only one who got yeeted out unlike the rest of them. Fortunately, Langus found an interesting martial arts manual that he borrowed called the Cloud Water Spear Technique. Then there's Celine, who learned a movement art alongside Wind Blossom's sword technique. Raymond got his fair share by practicing the Eldragon Guardian sword technique in the library. He even got a book for his shield skills. Basically, they ended up learning the same martial arts that Zeke created in his previous life while trolling. Finally, he asks Laika, hoping to learn what she got from the experience. She reveals a book containing the heavy wave greatsword technique that the 15th Lord improved. This is Zeke's second time hearing about another 15th generation, making him wonder what's so special about it. Anyway, the 15th Lord is also directly responsible for creating Dragon Slayer combat arts. Now, even though our boy made a ton of techniques that became important manuscripts in the hall, a lot of them were improved versions of what he created. This means the 15th Lord is responsible for their advancement, impressing even the likes of Zeke himself. At first, he thought that his school life would be nothing but filled with boredom, but now he's excited for the journey to come. We get a huge time skip that takes us 5 years into the future. Here, a 12-year-old Laika is looking around to find Zeke and her friends. She learns from Langus that our boy is at the training grounds. Speaking of the training grounds, Zeke is currently squaring off against 3 of his friends, having become much stronger by age 12.